a couple of months ago, I mentioned, because who was the biggest casualty? What company was the biggest casualty from this medical expense ratio? Anybody? I know someone's going to get it. Exactly, Humana. I talked about that, right? Humana, the majority of their business is in Medicare Advantage. And so what did I say? Anybody remember what I said about Humana? I was watching it close because it was selling off even before this news came out. What did I say? Exactly. Very good, Tom. Now I'm just kind of giving you guys some perspective, even though we didn't talk about Humana, but this kind of feeds into it. Humana collapsed. And even with this collapse, I said, I'm not buying it because I think Humana inevitably is going to collapse under 300. It wasn't enough for me. And take a look where it's going now. So here was the collapse. It collapsed down to 350. This is when everything fell out. End of January. So, and I said, look, I don't want Humana because Humana, take a look. Humana had come down all the way just 2 months before. It was $520. So it's down like 40% or so. Someone can do the math. I said, this is not enough. I don't think it's over. I think Humana is going to eventually collapse below 300. It's not there yet, but you know, it's at 300 now. Why am I saying all this? Because this has to do with, first of all, when you're looking at these stocks, you know, the big scam, all these fake guru idiots, you know, oh, discounted cash flow. They can't even use the damn thing. I don't even use it because it's bullshit, but they don't even know how to use it, even if it was valid. My point is this. You got to look at the industry. You got to see what's going on in the industry, first of all. Okay. First and foremost, you have to understand what is going on. And I point this out because Humana is in trouble because they built their business over the years. They kind of got away from offering commercial insurance and they focused on Medicare Advantage. The majority of their revenues are Medicare Advantage and they are effed. Okay. Now they do have some, they have commercial plans clearly, but I don't know that they have much, if any, individual medical insurance. I don't know if they're still in that market. They got greedy and they're focused now on Medicare Advantage. So this is now a double whammy for them. Not only are they dealing with higher medical expense ratio, higher, cost because of more claims, but Washington is saying, hey, sorry, Charlie, we're not going to, no. I mentioned last time, of course, United is very diversified. And they're the number one provider of Medicare Advantage, but that's because they're enormous. I mean, 1 out of every 3 people uses United Health in America, right? So as a percentage of their revenues and profits, it's much smaller than Humana. I mean, look at this. Humana is now, this is going to be brutal. They're probably going to get some bounces, but I would not touch it anytime. That's one we're going to be following this in the securities analysis to see what's going on. But anyway, so this is what's going on with United, okay? And I wanted to give you guys some perspective because this narrative that we talked about last time, you recall, I mentioned it's not over. I talked about, I don't think it's over with United. Anybody remember that? In March, we talked about the announcement of the DOJ investigating United for potential antitrust. At the time, it topped out at 532. We talked about taking profits. Look at that. Boom. Wow. Boom. And as we said, it's possible. We think it could go down to 450 in the next few months. February, right? And then you can see it topped out at 532. So I completely nailed that. Let's take a look here. So you can see this was the February issue. You can see topped out at 532.81, 533. Okay, that was the high. And I put sell. Why? Because it's already selling off. You're seeing it sell off here. Okay, and it's or the next day you could sell it. Okay. Anyway, where is it now? Where is it now? In February, I said the next few months it could hit 450. Boom, it just hit 450. It just hit 450. Now, obviously, I didn't know that Washington is going to do this and so on and so forth, right? But this is what happened. So the question is, where are we now? Where are we now? Well, in March, I said you can buy it here for a move, I think, up to 500, 510, especially if you made a lot of money from it in the past. But most people should wait for shares to sell off to 450, right? So I was kind of like, you could do it and you could afford to take that chance if you get out the right time, if you exit, but you probably should wait because I think there's kind of more issues down the road. And you can just read this. I'm thinking, this could be kind of a perfect storm for the industry because the industry's done really well over the past several years, right? So, and you all know, of course, I've been talking about over the past several months, hey, if you've held United Health for a long time, this is, I think, the period to start to kind of sell, and harvest those long-term gains. And you all know, of course, I've been talking about over the past several months, hey, if you've held United Health for a long time, this is, I think, the period to start to kind of sell, and harvest those long-term gains.